Wasting time, wasting time.
Do you think, because very quickly after this was when you left Renegades, and I don't necessarily want to speak for you, but I think the circumstances were that you were removed from Renegades. You can correct me if I'm wrong there. But do you
Yeah,
think that the team was at that time starting to think, you know what, we probably need to make a change?
yeah. I can go into a bit of detail about that. Actually, what happened was it was more so internal issues between me and the coach that I don't really want to go into too much detail about. But the reason I was removed was because um, the issues the arguments that I had with Kassad when he joined. When PK was in the team coaching us, like everything was good. Like, don't get me wrong, the mentality was pretty bad after that major qualifier. To the point where you'd have to have somebody saying in Messenger, boys, like if we don't come out of this, we're not going to be able to beat Cloud9 tomorrow. No matter, like, regardless of what happened, we have to put it past us, etc. But like, it didn't help at that point. Yeah, the stuff with me and Renegades was because I had a huge argument with Kassad in terms of like just how can I say it without coming across as a fuckwit. Basically what happened was that he had a certain style of leading a team, Kassad, that when he came into the team, he was extremely over emotional to the point where, like, we're practicing and he's slamming desks and shit. And I was kind of the only one who spoke up about this type of stuff. And I said, look, bro, like, you can't do that. Like, and yeah, he understood that. He said stuff, but there was also other things where I would always like to give input after games about what I think we can do better, how we can improve. But at the same time, I didn't choose my words very wisely. Um, there was a lot of things that I probably said that not only annoyed him but annoyed other people as well. Like I think um, a big thing had to do with like mechanical skills and stuff like that. Saying like, are we actually good enough? Like, how can we get better? Like, how can we just be sharper? How can we play better as a team, trade better? And I was always throwing out suggestions at the wrong time, and he didn't like that. He was like, Rick, just let me handle it, let me deal with it. Like, you don't have to do this, blah blah blah. I'm like, but in a team environment, I like to everybody should be able to have an input. And the way I see a coach should come into the team not only just to take over the team and implement his whole style, but should also ask what the players need from him in order to help
Hmm.
them become better players. And anyway, at the end of the day, it was just a fucking shit show. And right, like now to this day, like I'm friends with Kassad. Like we've put all that stuff behind us. But at that specific time, again, like we all said a lot of things to each other that pushed it to the point where it was so far gone that I was like, I don't want to fucking play with this team anymore. Like everybody's siding with Kassad. He's just joined this team. Like I'm only trying to get a word out there. But again, like I said some things that were really really bad, and after that we couldn't go back because I already said I said I don't want to play. I don't want to play anymore if this guy's here. Blah blah blah, etc. And it was just a whole bunch of internal issues, and that's why. And it kind of fucks me till this day because they said, Rick, like we do want you to opt for us. Like if you want to stay, we want you to play with us, but you're gonna have to sort this out.
Hmm.
And it was so emotionally like gone at that point where I was just like, nah, fuck it. Like I can't do it. And that's when I got benched.
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened.
So a bit of a like maybe a stylistic difference, I guess, between you and Kassad in what you wanted from the team or what your expectations maybe were from that relationship should be.
Yeah.
Is I guess what the inevitable issue then was for you. But you, I mean, it almost seems like you, in a way, decided that you didn't want to be on this team, but you were also kind of removed from the team as a result of that. So it's like a bit of a weird sort of a situation. Yeah, it's a little bit interesting, right? When you talk about team environments, there always seems to be a few sort of passive players, and then there seems to be the guys that always want to have an input on the team. And sometimes
Yep.
you run into issues when there's too many people that maybe want to have that kind of input because you end up inevitably clashing on things. So do you think it was maybe a situation like that where there was just one too many cooks or something like that?
There needs to be a balance. Like I was saying before, I think there needs to be a balance in like listening and accepting what people have to say and also trying to help um, build better players as a coach. But again, like it depends what organization you're playing for. It depends who comes in as a coach. Like
Mm.
if an organization brings in a coach and that organization says, look, he's in control of the team, he he's going to build you guys up. He's going to tell you guys what to do. You listen to him 100%. If they say that, you need to do that. And um, that wasn't exactly said from Renegades, but Kassad came in with that mentality,
Mhm.
and that's how it was. And and yeah, I was the only one who kind of went against his coaching style, and yeah, it did not work out for me very well.
Definitely seems like I've never met the guy personally. Like I've never spoken to him, but it definitely seems like something that has continued in his career as a coach. Like I feel like from the interviews that I've seen and the discussions that I've seen surrounding him, he definitely likes to be a coach that is in control.
He's a
Of
tough
his.
guy, man.
Hmm.
He's a tough guy, but yeah, like don't get me like he's a really good guy. Like we did get along. It's just we got along outside of the game. It was just purely Counter Strike stuff. You
Yeah.
know, like it was just different mentalities at that specific time.
Okay, let me ask you this then, and this will be the last thing about Renegades before we start talking about CLG. What would and the question would be like, I know this might be quite difficult to answer, but do you think it would have been better for your career had you inevitably stayed with Renegades, or do you think what ended up happening afterwards with CLG and Rogue and whatever was that more beneficial in the long term?
I think it could have gone both ways. Obviously, where it's led to now, I'm extremely happy where I am now. I wouldn't have if I didn't get benched on Renegades and transition into all these other teams and stuff, I wouldn't be married right now. I wouldn't be where I am right now. So I think I don't really like to say everything happens for a reason, etc. Blah blah blah. But put it this way, I wouldn't be where I am now. I think it would have been better for my career if I stayed with Renegades. That I agree with, and I will regret that to this day. But what I don't regret is the things that happened because of me being benched on Renegades.
Sure.
So it's a two-way street. It's so hard for me to like yeah, I think yeah, career wise it would have been better if I stayed on Renegades. And they said to me, Rick, like even though all this shit's gone down, like we do want you to play, but and I was just such a fucking idiot, and I said I fuck it, and it's funny because the day afterwards, like everybody took a day off and everything calmed down, and then I kind of came back and I'm like, all right, let's try and give it another chance. And then the roles swapped over
It was a bit too late.
from me being like, fuck it, I don't want to play. Then everyone else is like, fuck it, we don't want to play with you. So yeah, it's just a shit show.
Wasting time. Wasting time.